LegacyMaker, the all sports network, presents a SIRTOBA Media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
So you're giving it to Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he piggybacked off of his dad's name. The only difference was because there was a junior at the end and not a Z.
Yes, and
Okay.
because the fact is, Drew, point with, oh my God,
I had Miami Heat winning last night. I was upset too when they lost us with you because of the fact of what you.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
Joe Dillard Jr. with LegacyMaker Sports Network, host of Commonwealth Sports Talk.
and Drew Willingham.
Let's go.
That's right. Welcome one and all to another installment of the In or Out Sports Debate. I'm your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special guest here for episode 25. He is another one of my brothers from the LegacyMaker Sports Network. He is the host of the Commonwealth Sports Talk. Give it up for Mr. Joe Dillard Jr. Welcome to the show, my man.
My man. Pleasure to be here. You just don't know. This is like a reunion. Like we haven't seen each other in a year, but we haven't missed a beat. So that's what's the most important piece of that matter. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad you're doing well. It's been a while since we had the last LegacyMaker Sports Network Zoom meeting, where everybody was in there. That was the last time we all kind of had, some words where we all kind of see each other face to face. And it's the first time you're here, on my show with the In or Out Sports Debate, and I'm glad to have you here as things have kind of switched up and evolved over the past 90 days with the evolution of different guests each week and keeping things fresh. And I'm just so glad to have you here as part of the first 25 episodes. You snuck in here at number 25. You're part of the top 25 in episodes. So thank you for being here, brother, for one.
Airway traffic. It's a pleasure to be here, man. And just to say, this is great production. So, without further ado, I'm so ready, amped to get this show going. So, you know what time it is, my man.
Awesome. Well, before we do that, I would like you to take a second and at least introduce my fans that I have here on a regular basis to your show if they haven't seen yours yet. Tell us a little bit about the Commonwealth Sports Talk.
Absolutely, man. Well, Commonwealth Sports Talk is a baby of mine that I've grown from the very beginning, where we celebrate all of Virginia's athletes, coaches, sports moguls within the state of Virginia. We continue to reach out from all areas: 703-757-804, 571, 434. We've had them all. So, just having the opportunity to put Virginia's athletes on a platform and celebrate them, man, I feel like I'm just the guy that's a vessel being able to put that platform together and allow some great guests that we've had over our time. So we continue as we have season 5 going on right now, and we're just rolling, man. Glad to have it.
You guys have done some great things. You've had some also return guests with yourself that you've had here recently with the one that I forget his name. I'm sorry. I've had so much
Coach
going
Poindexter.
on. Yep. That just won the championship that you had. Like that was a great episode. I did tune in and watch the majority of that. And one thing too, what I'll do with a lot of our shows is I'll have it playing, in the background while I'm working on stuff. Cause you're talking about the production quality and stuff. Like I had to put some time into it. So my time that I get in watching or listening to what our team does is when I'm actually doing work and stuff to actually prepare us for one of these episodes like Beautiful. We're on right now. So what you're doing is great work, brother. Keep it up. You're finishing, like you said earlier, you're wrapping up season 5, going into season 6. Keep it going because consistency gets views, gets fans, and makes a great production, and even better production with consistency is key in my opinion. So
Absolutely.
So definitely keep it going. We've got a great set of topics to go through today, Joe. And, baseball is our situation that we have going on for our first one. Before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
here with the Vault of Fame, we acknowledge the previous participants in the In or Out Sports Debate. Episodes 1 through 11, we had Rob Johnson. Episode 12, Ty Montgomery Jr. Episode 13, one half of the Undisputed Champions show, Corey Mann. Episode 14, Greg the Golden Boy Anthony, the professional wrestler from the independent scene, was here for episode 14. Episode 15, Ty Montgomery Jr. returns. Episode 16, the Snowman, Brian Snow, was here to discuss sports. Episode 17, Darrell Owens, Mr. Rollback, LMSN program director, was here for episode 17. Episode 18, Brian H. Waters of the Wrestling Realm was here. Episode 19, as a late surprise entrant, James Brown was here for the In or Out Sports Debate. Episode 20, we had Wale Ekinso here for episode 20. Episode 21 was Xander Anthony, son of the Golden Boy Greg Anthony, here to discuss an all-NBA edition here on the In or Out Sports Debate. Episode 22 was Wally, the other half of the Undisputed Champions. Episode 23 was Paul Schofield, LMSN alumni, here to discuss a lot of football. And here earlier this evening, as part of Double Debate Monday, we had Corey Mann, who was here for episode 13, the other half of the Undisputed Champions, here to discuss a lot of professional wrestling. And like I said, Double Debate Monday is here. We had Corey Mann here earlier this evening for episode 24. Right now, we have the man for Commonwealth Sports Talk and my brother of the LegacyMaker Sports Network, Joe Dillard Jr., here to discuss a great list of topics. But also tomorrow, we have episode 26 here tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern live. Becca Cottingham Quimby is here to discuss a lot of NASCAR, an all NASCAR episode here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. And lastly, the other co-host of the Commonwealth Sports Talk, we have my man, my high school brother and alumni, Lamont Thomas of the Commonwealth Sports Talk, as well as another LegacyMaker Sports Network brother here on next Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. I know that was a lot to get through, Joe, and thank you. Thank you so much for sticking with me on that. But we had a lot to get off there so that way our fans know what's happening here in the upcoming episodes.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Got to recognize those who take the time.
Show appreciation, because with this show, I got to have two to tango. So if it wasn't for you guys, I would have nothing. I will say this, as time goes on, I'm probably going to have to pre-record that and probably have some like Star Wars thing where the list just goes up as I'm saying it, because that's got to be a lot to expect of a dude to go live with every single time. I'm going to have to work that into the editing. Like, yeah. Whew. But hey, I didn't do too bad though. I will at least say it was cool. It was good enough.
Not at all. I felt like an NWO member on the side waiting for you to finish your act, like with my bat. Like, let's go.
For life.
For life.
My man. Well, with that, let's go ahead and take this momentum into round one.
Round one.
With round one, we cover a team that Joe is very, very familiar with. The New York Mets will need to make more moves by the deadline if they want a shot at clinching the NL East this season. Joe, how do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this topic?
In. You know, it's very easy for me to say we could win it without a move. However, with our pitchers coming back, Sherman and our ace coming back, I feel like we are in a prime position to have a great rotation going into winning time. Going into September, October, you've got to have pitchers that are going to hold you down throughout the end. And so, you know, with us having a 1-2 combo that rivals versus anybody in MLB, I think we need to make a move in our bullpen, and we need another bat. You know, in a perfect world, let's go dump all our guys, all our prospects, and get Soto and be happy and push for it. But we're not the Dodgers. So we get a reliever or two. We get another bat, sure hand bat in the lineup, and then I feel like we're pushing for a pennant run by winning that division. Let's go Mets.
You know, I've got to agree with that. I'm in on this as well. You know, they really with the division that they're in, they're not in a chump division. They've got a lot of contention within that division. At least with the Braves.
Absolutely. The Phillies are playing great ball too. So you can't keep either one of them away far. And it just keeps to reiterate that the same thing that happened this year right now is what happened last year, where the Mets came out front, the Braves stumbled, Braves found their stroke, and they never let it go, and we crumbled at the end. So now having two aces coming back from injury, I feel like it's a prime opportunity for the Mets to make one more move, if not two, to make that advancement.
Like, guys, let's get mother-fathering real right here. Like, the Mets have only got a 2.5 game lead over the Braves right now. They're 58-35. The Braves are 56-38. The Phillies, though, they're 6 games behind the Braves. So they're 8.5 games out of first place. The Marlins and Nationals give no threat as they've got a double-digit deficit behind. So it's either between the Braves, the Phillies. The Braves have the best chance as they are the defending World Series champions. So we got to give them that. Even though they don't have Freddie Freeman, they did get Olsen. They did make some moves during the offseason, that would set them up for this season to at least be in contention to go deep in the playoffs, at least the National League Championship Series potentially, if they play their cards right.
Look, I'm not biased. The Braves are the real deal, and defending champs and having the pedigree. I don't want to have a chance to be where we need to come back from being behind with them, and I don't want to play in with them. So if we can start to get better and string some things together by making 1 or 2 more moves, that may draw some separation for us if we can kind of keep playing as good as we've been playing all year.
I definitely second that. And I mean, it is on record. You go back and you watch at least one of the past 25 episodes of the In or Out Sports Debate, I think early on in the creation of it. I've admitted I'm a Braves fan, but I'm a realistic fan. Kind of like I'm a Commanders fan, but I'm realistic too. I'm not going to tell you they're going to the Super Bowl every year. I'm going to tell you cold, hard facts straight up how it is, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. I just got to be real, because if I keep it real, at least when the stuff happens that actually happens, I'm not one of those cardiac arrest ones that actually has heart attacks because I set myself up for failure. So I got to keep it real from A to Z, from start to finish. So with that said, we've covered a good amount with this NL East discussion for round 1. We do have some last-second additions to the All-Star game. Speaking of, I'll kind of take it away from this topic a little bit, but keep it in the NL East. How do you feel about Freddie Freeman being a last-minute entry into the All-Star game, considering that he's had a pretty good year? And I feel like he kind of secretly wanted to be out of the All-Star game, so maybe he can enjoy a little bit of time back home in Atlanta, because he's feeling some type of way about what his agent did to him.
Well, Freddie is a family man, and, mind you, his peoples are in LA, and they will be able to see more than half of his games every season now. So he's getting that family time that he wants. And shout out to him being able to be a participant as well with the All-Star game. However you get there, it doesn't matter. It means that you are an established ball player for that year. I really want to throw in Jeff McNeil, because I'm a Mets guy. Out of all our stars, who would have thought Jeff McNeil would have made it out of our roster? But big shout out to him as well. When Dodgers, you've got Mookie, you've got Freeman. I mean, you've got the starting pitcher and Clayton. So, that's 3 whole Dodgers right there. So let's talk about Jeff McNeil sneaking into the lineup. So hoorah for them Dodgers, but I got to stick with my Mets.
No, I mean, I get it as far as being a homer with that. I'll give you that one.
The Dodgers are our baby program, and I will give you a quick shade real quick. I am a Dodgers and Mets fan. It was the beginning when we had Robinson, and it was the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they moved over to LA. And so that kind of history, I appreciated the Dodgers franchise for that. And so they forever will be my New York team that got away from us. But at the time, I learned the history and fell in love with it. So I do root for both of them unless they come close to costing my Mets anything. So, yeah.
I can respect that. So if the two of them match up in the playoffs, you're still pulling for the Mets.
100%.
Gotcha.
100%.
I can respect that.
100%.
With that, we've kind of taken a good dive into baseball with round 1. Let's go ahead and carry this momentum into round 2, my man.
Round 2.
Here's a good rival for Joe right here. NCAA basketball discussion. Duke men's basketball will not be as much of a threat now that Coach K has retired. How do you feel about this, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm out. Duke has a great program. Duke has a great system. They've had a great coach. They've had national titles, great players in the pros. And it was all born off of watching Big Brother 10 miles down Tobacco Road consistently show what excellence looks like. And so for the fact to think that because Coach K is leaving, that Duke's not going to compete ever again, no, they still got Big Bro 10 miles down the road that can constantly remind them who sent Coach K home and how did your year finish last year. So I'm sure we can give them reasons to be motivated this year and further years. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They will still be relevant, but hey, it's because you're a little big bro, you know?
You're absolutely right. And with that, I've got to agree. I'm out on this as well. And before I give my take why, I got to give my first installment of this.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Hey, whenever we both disagree on something, whenever we both feel that we're out, it's always a recommendation to have Bishop Bullwinkle and hell no, I'll play for 7 seconds of awesomeness. But with that being said, when it comes to Duke men's basketball will not be as much of a threat. I'm out on this just like Joe said. You're leaving this to a coach who was within the Coach K system, okay? So he still learned from the man, okay? He still has experience learning from one of the greatest coaches of NCAA men's basketball history, which whether we want to admit it or not, whether you like Duke or not, you got to give it to the man. He was there for 4 decades. Coach K was the man. And with that being said, I gotta give appreciation to the man when he did what he did. With the time that he was there, he turned Duke into a top 10 recruitment powerhouse. So in the amount of time that he was there, Duke was an okay school in the 80s when he got there, but he elevated Duke to where they were at least within the top 10 recruitment classes every single year. If not, they had top 5s throughout several years. Every single year they were in contention for getting the top recruits and when they were bringing in new talent each year with new classes. So I have to give it to Coach K and what he did to build that program, for what he did to elevate the coaching staff, for the coaching that's coming in there now. They're going to keep that big powerhouse rolling. They may not be as big of a powerhouse as what Coach K did, but they've got that. They've got the financing, they've got the sponsorships to pay them the money they need to be on top. Because now that actual college players can get money, that's a big part of this now.
Very much so. Very much so. I just know for a fact, again, what I said correlates to what you're saying. I just can't give them that much credit. We welcomed them in. They knew what excellence was. We showed them the standard. They reached it multiple times. They are a great program now.
I definitely agree. We're both on the same page with that. And speaking of agreeing and speaking of announcing stuff, man, we've got some breaking news that we got to go over here in episode 25. That breaking news is this: next Monday, we will have a repeat of Double Debate Monday. James Brown will be here for episode 28, just after Lamont Thomas's episode 27. But James will be here at 8 o'clock next Monday here on the In or Out Sports Debate. Definitely looking forward to that. We've got a lot of episodes that have been pumping out with this show. I got to give love real quick before we go into the next round between the love we've gotten here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and just recently I just created an account with TikTok, just like I was telling you before the show started. So everybody that's viewing this stuff, between the clips, the full-length episodes, thank you for taking the time to watch this show. Definitely put a lot into it. My guests come in locked and loaded, ready to put stuff into it and ready to go. So you can go back and watch a great amount of history in the vault here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And with that, we've gotten two rounds kicked through. We're ready to take this into round 3 of the In or Out Sports Debate.
Round 3.
Let's go ahead and keep this on the East Coast. Here with Jack Del Rio is on the hot seat after his controversial remarks for the Washington Commanders. How do you feel about that, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
In. I'm still carrying some of this fight round 3 Mortal Kombat character sitting here bobbing mode because this is how I feel about Jack Del Rio right now. And, one thing I know that is that we're Washington fans. And so we clearly have to hold ourselves to a better standard than what the front office and coaches have done. Poor Riverboat Ron is being the only modeled citizen within our higher ups and just really showing how it's done. And yet people still choosing to go left. And I mean, I'm left-handed, but left, we all know what going left is. So, making idiotic decisions despite your views is one thing, but then to, still not understand what you're saying or what you've done or it's just really tough for us to get behind you. So in my thing, I'm going to say you need to provide defensive consistency. You need to not blow a game. And if so, I am calling for your job.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I'm going to take it into a little bit of a deeper realm than that. But before that, I'm definitely going to agree. And I'm going to say that he's on the hot seat. I don't want to go into this politically, okay, because we're a sports show. We don't want to go into politics, no matter which side you feel on. He should not have made those remarks. One, the fact that he is bringing something up like that and has the mindset to even think into that realm, to even bring that out. Like, why? Why, dude? One, why are you talking like that? Two, why are you even agreeing with that? Like, in bringing that out loud, like that's not cool. No matter which side that you are on, like it's wild how things have evolved over the last 2 years. People blame it on the woke media. I just blame it on decision making in general. And people, you can only control what's in front of you, right? Me, you, we can only make our own decisions. We're not puppets, right? So I'm going to be the same real person to you as I'm going to be to the next person right here in front of me on the street. These people like Jack Del Rio, you think that they're highly, credible people, that they're going to coach a team and lead a team. Then they go and say stuff like this. People that say stuff like this shouldn't be leading a team from A to B to Z, however you want to dice it up. So you need to go out there and prove that you can lead this team. If not, they're going to get rid of you before the end of the season, because if this defense tanks, and we've got an offense in Washington, but the defense is giving up, the 30th and 31st and 32nd worst amount of points in the league or whatever, they're going to get rid of him before the end of the season and not even think twice, because he started it first by putting his foot in the mouth by saying what he said.
That puts more pressure on him. Again, like you said, this is a sports show, so we could talk the sports. You can have these front 4 first-round defensive linemen, and you're telling me we can't get pressure on the quarterback efficiently? I mean, I'm not understanding what your concept is. If that's not the case, then why do we have 4 first-round defensive linemen? So, again, I'm just trying to understand what he is trying to correlate or implement in our program so that we can see his staple in games. We don't see his staple in games. Therefore, if it's nothing special, then you making comments like that, he's clearly blotted in his outside world and his focus on football, because we need him to be focused on football. That's why you're on the hot seat.
It is proven in past, and that's why history is great, because if you don't know history and don't understand history, you're not going to work well within the future, because history does repeat itself. To those who don't pay attention, they're going to make the same mistakes of the past. So if you really think about it, teams don't really fight hard and work hard for somebody that they don't respect. And if they don't respect their defensive coach, they're not going to go out there and lay everything on a line, because they're still going to get paid the same no matter how you dice it up at the end of the game. That's how professional sports works. So with that said, I look forward to seeing how this season pans out for this team. We'll definitely get back into it with the final round. But we do have some comments we need to acknowledge from the fans right here in the Media Mayhem we need to get to. So let's go ahead and kick it off into that. And Joe, with this, I'll introduce you to the Media Mayhem, which is the midway point. We acknowledge the comments from our fans. And so far, we have comments from Corey Mann, who was just here for episode 24 earlier. He says, definitely need to make moves for the Mets. He definitely agrees with us here on the In or Out Sports Debate in episode 25. Facebook user says, hey, are you in or out? I'm in on this program. Thank you so much for selling that. I don't know who you are, but thank you because you're coming up as Facebook user. I think I know who you are, but if you're seeing this now, I can comment at least with your name. I don't want to throw it out there and name somebody else and give them credit for what you just said, but comment here in the comments and say who you are, Facebook user, for this comment right here. Thank you so much for the appreciation. Now for the next couple comments, the chosen one shows up from YouTube, reignites himself, says, what's up, fellas? What's up, chosen one? We just learned in episode 24 there, Joe. The chosen one's name is Patrick. He used to work with Wally and also with Corey at Walmart, supposedly, or within Walmart Supercenters back in the day. So the chosen one has been staying lit up here with the comments in the past few episodes. So got to give acknowledgement to our fans right here in the midway point. The next one, the chosen one says, again, the Braves are winning the division again and repeating as champs. Talking about World Series champs. Joe, come on, give me an out so I can do something.
You can't, and you're a Braves fan, you can't say no, but you can bet the field versus them. Mm-hmm. So I can be a pessimistic, I can be a PD pessimistic with this comment and be like, so you're telling me that the Dodgers can't beat them. You're telling me that, the teams that are lined up and playing good, the Yankees are playing great. The Mets are playing great. There's so many teams we could put in front of them. However, chosen one, it's not necessarily a lie. It's a great prediction. They can win the division. Again, they're in position to do it. And if they do that, that gives them a chance to win as champs. But you know where I stand, chosen one. You know where I stand.
As a Braves fan, I honestly like the Phillies is a better chance to win the division than I do like the Braves. And that says something, even though the Mets have got the lead right now. But I think the Mets are going to be the ones that win it this year. But it's all about staying healthy. It's only July. We still got plenty of time left. But Joe says out. I also say out. And with that, we unlock another installment of
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
I love that song so much. We were both getting down right there. It's great. But another reason I say that is with hell no is because with all these good teams, we got the Yankees who've got a damn near 20-game lead in the AL. In the AL East. I mean, when you really think about all that, and you really think about the Mets, we're going to have the Subway Series all over again here in 2022. Yeah. So when it comes to the Braves repeating as champs, even though I'm a Braves fan, I got to click this.
Fitting, because they are still in Disney World right now. They are champs, and the only thing they want to do is beat the Braves. But what they don't realize is that they get everybody's best, especially come this postseason. Everybody knows to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. So if they get there, they're marked, and they're nobody's gonna see them as a secret coming through the postseason. So that's some bold statements there, chosen one.
Dude, I gotta love the reference to the Ric Flair right there as a wrestling fan. Thank you for bringing that up. That was great right there as a throwaway in there.
I almost did the woo.
Woo! If you go back and watch the first 4 episodes, whenever we said "in," Ric Flair was actually what came up when we said "in." It wasn't. We had different things, but for copyright things, we changed it. So that's why we have music now, homegrown music. And plus, the whole Plane Ride from Hell documentary came out. We didn't want to keep giving Ric Flair publicity. I think that's why he's doing this last match to erase that.
Chosen one. I hope Duke sucks from now on, but when they have a standard 10 miles away, they got to be somebody. And, we always need somebody to beat up on 10 miles away. NC State's not relevant, so we might as well,
He also at least has this saying that Jack Del Rio is getting fired. So at least he has something relevant with that.
Yeah, I mean, if we fire him, I'm going to wonder why we didn't, go higher up that chain, but that's for another one.
That's for another episode. Yes, sir. You got that right. We do have one more comment. Corey Mann has this. Del Rio is definitely on the hot seat. They have talent on that defense and should be performing better and more consistently. He better hope Wentz can help him by having a steadier offense. And that's something that we'll get into with the final round. So great point there, Corey. Very, very good point. Out of all the comments, Corey gets the best one. And for that, because we both give it in, we're going to do this. We both agree. I haven't come up with a graphic that pops up when we both agree on something yet. That'll be for upcoming episodes to decide, but I haven't gotten that far in the development yet.
We could just change it to hell to the yeah. I would have been happy.
I got to start being a little more careful with the copyright stuff, so I might have to come up with something a little more original, but give me some time. I've come in pretty far with this one. We'll see how that goes, guys. But hey, guys, for those of you who are watching right now with the live comments, thank you so much for the comments. Keep them going, and we'll acknowledge them here at the end of the episode with the Mayhem culmination. So thank you very much for that. With that, though, we do need to take this momentum into round 4 and discuss a good topic that we have based on the number of episodes that we have here with episode 25. Let's take this into round 4.
Round 4.
And with round 4, by the numbers, Richard Sherman is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 25 in all of sports. And I emphasize the all, not just football, but all of sports, Joe. Of all of sports, how do you feel about this, my man? Are you in or are you out?
I'm out. Richard Sherman might be the smartest 25 in all of sports to be up at that level. But there's a thing on my shoulder that requires you to hit a ball that goes 90 miles an hour. And in his young career, he wore 24, but played phenomenal and was a Gold Glove and a 40-40 guy. And then he switches to 25. And everybody has their opinion. But nobody ever questioned that Barry Bonds can hit that ball. Nobody ever questioned that Barry Bonds was a Gold Glove baseball outfielder. So I just can't allow Richard to go. I mean, Richard's like third. I'll even put Pretty Ricky Henderson at second and then go Barry Bonds because, in baseball, it's a game of failure. And Richard Sherman out of 60 to 80 plays gets to be a part of 20. And you come up on your own as an individual in baseball and swing that bat. And Barry Bonds has the most intentional walks in history. Like, it just is uncomparable. And I know what everybody's thinking, but at the end of the day, that's for health. That's not for skill. I know it. It does change the numbers on the paddedness, but as far as skill, he was a 40-40 guy coming in. He was a Gold Glover, and his hand-eye coordination with the swing of that choke up is not replicated to this day. And so, got to go with Barry Bonds. Another hit, Barry Bonds. We out of here, baby.
You bring a very compelling argument, but I already had decided as well that I'm out on this as well. I got a list that I kind of made, and you had beat me to it. I had Barry Bonds as the best to ever wear 25. You could throw Ricky Henderson up there as one of the best to wear 25 as well. If I were to do a top 10 list, I would say Richard Sherman would be in there. I will at least give him that. Can't put him in the top 5. But if I were to do a top 10 list, I would say he could be in the top 10, maybe around 8, 9, or 10. But he's definitely not in the top half of that. I can't give that to Richard Sherman because the other ones I'd have to think about Vince Carter, the NBA. I'd have to think of Jim Thome, who had a lengthy career in the MLB, wore 25 between the Cleveland Indians, Chicago White Sox.
Thome could swing that thing.
And Thome could swing it. He was one of the ones I modeled after. LaShawn McCoy was another one who was great that wore 25 and has 2 NFL rings as well. One more than Richard Sherman does. So I have to give it to LaShawn McCoy, even though he didn't have as much of an impact as Richard Sherman did in the one Super Bowl ring that he's got for the Seahawks. But also have to think about George Brett was another one that wore 25 for the Kansas City Royals. Derrick Rose is another one that's wore 25. Now, he hasn't had as much of a lengthy career as, say, like Barry Bonds, but Barry Bonds is number 1. I got to give it to Barry Bonds, like you said. And I brought this up in the last episode in 24 when we were debating who the best one to wear 24 was, and I said Willie Mays. Corey said
24 is tough.
Corey said it was Kobe. I said it was Willie Mays because you got to look at the era. Willie Mays paved the way for everyone now and had to endure a lot of harder things back when he played baseball that guys are now enduring playing basketball and NFL, and that was my arguing point. That's why I said that Willie Mays was the best. You could definitely go back and watch that segment in episode 24. But for episode 25, I was saying that Willie Mays, if it wasn't for Willie Mays, you wouldn't even have Barry Bonds because he's the godfather of Barry Bonds.
He is.
So when you put all that in perspective, because him and Bobby Bonds were so tight, who is Barry's dad, they played together with the Giants back in the day. They have a great friendship. That's Barry's godfather. So between the two, between Bobby and also Willie, they helped the next generation of baseball players and also helped mold one of the best players we've ever seen. Even before he started juicing, he was a Hall of Famer. After he started juicing, of course, he set all those records. But you got to give it to what Barry did before all that when he was a 40-40.
Again, the juicing is so that he doesn't play for only 11 years. He plays for 16. It has, a lot of people are just thinking that it boosts his numbers. You still have to go out and hit the ball. Jose Canseco juiced for God knows when, and he was more known for striking out and getting the ball hit on his head and letting it go over as a home run. But he juiced, and it just wasn't to the same impact. And it's all about muscle and trying to keep your body healthy to stay and endure a 162 season game, which he had already done for 10 seasons. Might not have been consistent enough to go 15 or 20 because his body might have broke down. But he made a tough decision because the money started to show in this industry. And a lot of people do things. That's Tom. There's no way to think Tom Brady's not doing everything to gain a competitive edge within the means. And I'm going to say within the means, but that's just my thought.
Football deflation.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, we do have another electric topic to go into for the final round. Let's go back to the Washington Commanders for this one last topic.
Final round.
And with this last round, we go back to, again, the Washington Commanders. And this time, like we were saying earlier, we would get back to the whole Carson Wentz discussion. Carson Wentz will become the quarterback that Terry McLaurin has been praying for in Washington. How do you feel about this, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
I am in. I feel like McLaurin, a 91 Madden rating right now. I'll use Madden for you guys out there as a referral. He's a great top 10 wide receiver. But if Carson can get the ball to him efficiently, downfield, consistently, I believe this marriage is going to make him go up to a 94. What does that entail for the NFL? That means he's going to be a top 7 receiver because he's already given credit for being in the top 10. I believe him and Justin Jefferson will have the biggest surges and jumps in overall ratings come forward from this season coming up. I also think that Terry McLaurin, if you just give him a shot, he's going to catch the ball. His catch radius is immaculate in regards to his hands. So just Carson knowing things like that should give him the chance to be that gunslinger he's always wanted to be. And hopefully Ron just keeps the leash on him good enough so that we can use it when it's necessary.
You know, you bring up some good arguments with that, but I have to respectfully disagree. I'm out. I have to bring up the fact that last season for the Colts, in one play, Joe, he snapped both of his ankles. He snapped both of his ankles in one play, Joe. I'm sorry. But on the same play, it's not like he hurt his one ankle earlier in the game or even last week and was like, I'm a tough son of a bitch. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to play through this pain and snap the other one. No. On the same play. It takes a special talent to snap both of your ankles on one play, my man. Come on. Come on. You really have this high hope for Carson Wentz? I would love to as a Washington Commanders fan, Washington football, as a whatever fan. But I've got to keep it 100 with you. Come on, man. Do you really think both of those ankles that supports all your weight, your feet support your weight, your legs support your weight? And if something goes bad with your wheels, that's important in football. You got to keep upright. Your wheels, I'm saying, and with your wheels, they keep you upright. So with your wheels, you've got to have good wheels to get yourself in football. You got to be mobile enough, especially running away from that offensive line with the Washington Commanders. I am out. I am out. Go back to your ranch, Carson Wentz. Get away from football. We got a better shot with Taylor Heineke.
Woo, we do. But, Drew, let me just tell you this. I said it last year with Fitzpatrick, and I'm going to say it same with Carson. I need 11 games. It could be 10. Hell, I'll take 9 because Taylor showed he could do it. Give me 9 games. And then your knees and your ankles just don't want to do it no more. Then, you know, I find out we're the pit for quarterbacks then if that's the case. But I just need 9 productive games. And imagine 9 productive games with Carson Wentz and then 7 with 16? So 17 games. So 8 games again with Taylor Heineke, who he's familiar with already. I'm only speaking for Terry. You know, I can't speak for Carson. Carson may even have a butt fumble, but if Terry gets 120 grabs this year, Terry's winning. You know, his best quarterback before this was Taylor Heineke.
No, I can't disagree with that. But I have to disagree on why everybody is so hell. When it first happened, I at least got to admit, you can go back and watch some of the earlier episodes. I was in. I changed my mind.
I cringed.
I cringed, but at first I was actually in. But as I really sat back and I thought about it, I thought about the ankles. Just they're all holding up. You got to have wheels. Like I said, we need you to be that guy, Carson Wentz, but I just don't think he is. I think that Ty's right with his prediction in episode 12 when he said that Sam Howell was the real deal. I think that's better than Carson Wentz.
I wanted us to hold out and wait for Jimmy G. You want my honest opinion? I know he's injured as well, but I just want stability. I don't need a go-getter. I just want something constant and stable in Washington. We're not even getting that this year.
Sam Howell could be trade bait to help get Jimmy G at some point, but it might not be until next offseason until we actually see that happen. Yeah. I think that Baker Mayfield was probably the latest quarterback move we're going to see this offseason. I think Jimmy G's stuck, unfortunately. We're almost in August, dude. We're almost in August, and if Jimmy G even goes anywhere this late, he's not going to have as much success because with each passing day, he's losing preparation time.
And that's why they got Baker in Carolina for that purpose alone. That is the best quarterback competition this summer coming up in Carolina when it should be in San Fran.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. We've gone through a lot of great topics in this episode so far, and right now we've got the mayhem culmination to go over. We got a few more comments from the fans before we wrap this thing up. The Chosen One has resurfaced. We've got a few comments left. If there's anybody that's still watching this live, go ahead and get your last comments in before we end this live discussion with our fans. Mark McGuire is the best to wear 25. Joe, I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even. and for real, bro.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
What in the holy mother father are you thinking, chosen one?
I don't even care what side of the fence you're on. He lost the steroid battle, and he's not a great fieldsman. And I just don't even know where he falls in regards to being the first or the best first baseman of all time. Like, I don't even, in his prime, I don't even know. Like, oh, he's known in his prime as a Bash brother with a steroid guy. Come on, man.
Chosen one, whatever vitamins you're smoking, you need to lay off of them a little bit. Like,
Less nutrients.
Yeah, a little less nutrients, a little more action. Get up out the chair and start putting one foot in front of the other. Get those blood cells moving, my man.
Don't look back.
Woo! I can't believe you said that. Wow. With that, we got to acknowledge even the chosen one. I think the vitamins were wearing off because this one actually makes sense. Carson Wentz will tank ankle snapper 2020. That one is actually pretty good.
I can't put a pitch out for that because we have one football season. You get one game a week. You get one team to root for. It's one opportunity, and I can't put that on him at the beginning of the year, but it would not be surprising if he were to be injured. So I would not disagree with this statement.
And the chosen one has one last comment. It looks like Terry needs more help than Carson Wentz, and I agree with that. He does. They need more help at wideout. They need more help in that offensive line, mainly. Like, you got to put protection in there. Maybe a little bit of maybe another addition to the running game because Gibson's pretty good, but we need some durability. We need another good back to have a 1-2 punch.
Well, we do have Robinson, B-Rob, and we got to see how he survives training camp. And this is what I'm thinking with him. If he's as elusive as, well, not necessarily elusive, he's a big back. So if he can stay active and learn the system as quick as possible, you can have 3 running back system out there and have a 3 wide receiver set where you have McKissick in the slot and you can have in the slot, and you'll have 2 running backs in the slot going on a jet sweep motion with Robinson going downhill, and the defense has to adjust. The whole concept is to make the defense of scheme harder for us to execute. If we keep it bland and everybody stays in a bland defense, like from weeks 1 through 5, and they're still playing that on us come week 12, then we've done nothing extraordinary on offense. And I believe that having McKissick, Gibson, and B-Rob, that's 3 guys that we can line up at one time because McKissick and Gibson are really wide receivers. So if you can put them in slots, they win their matchup 10 times out of 10 with a slot, but that's yet to be seen, and we got to be real creative and spunky with our offense. So hopefully we see some tricks. Let me take that back, not tricks. Hopefully we see some execution.
Let's hope so. We've been wanting to hear that word and actually have it utilized for quite some time in Washington. So we'll see how things go. It's been kind of rough for the fans, for just anybody who covers sports in general for that team. It's just been that whole term where they were called the cardiac team from back in the day. It's still been carrying on for so much because I feel like out of all the fans for all 32 teams, the Washington fans have got to have the most cardiac arrest out of any team because they actually keep you living on a prayer for a little bit until they actually just crush your hopes and dreams, no matter which way you look at it.
I'm pretty sure if you ask any fan out of every team in the NFL, what other team other than your own, who would you have the most empathy for? Empathy, keyword. It's got to be Washington taking the majority votes because they just understand, have the most empathy for their fans. It's got to be Washington. It's got to be.
Before we get into the final word, I got to acknowledge something. Joe is finally now locked into the vault with episode 25. He joins the previously mentioned participants of the In or Out Sports Debate. Joe Dillard Jr. is now locked in the vault here at the end of episode 25. His legacy will live on here on the In or Out Sports Debate. Now, before we get into the final part of our show, let's go ahead and give this the final word. hear the final word out of all the topics we've discussed in this episode, or just anything in sports in general. What do you have on your mind, Joe? The stage is yours, my man.
The bat has me thinking. The left-handed point guard mentality has me thinking. The podcast mind frame, the touch everything, be good, both us loving Magic Johnson. I want to give a big shout out to Jalen Rose. What up, though? With the bat. This guy is just put his hands on everything and has consistent and is just continuing to do it. A 6'9" point guard. There's no other 6'9" point guards other than Magic that we could talk about that is as good as a Jalen Rose and maybe a Penny Hardaway, but without injury, Jalen did it the whole time, you know. And Jalen, I want to give you my shout out. I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. We watching. I'm on it. I'm getting there, and we just doing nothing but following the tread. You continue to blaze, and we're there. Let's go.
I like where you took your final word. I like the direction that you did with that. That was a great way to end the show with that. And you know, tonight we have another big part to announce. And with you discussion of the baseball bet, I gotta take this into the All-Star game and the MLB Home Run Derby. Tonight we are definitely in store for a great home run derby to see. Albert Pujols has been selected into the All-Star game, as well as the Home Run Derby, which could be potentially his last season if he wants to take it on a high note. Ever since he left the Angels and went back home to St. Louis, he's had a resurgence in his career. I think it's just because he's happy to get out of that contract. A bad contract and a bad team can definitely hurt your morale and can definitely hurt your performance. I feel like he should have done better than what he did in LA, but he saved a little bit at the end of that contract. He saved a little bit in the tank for St. Louis. He knew he was coming back home once that contract was done. He got released and let go, went to the Dodgers last year, tried to make a run at a ring, one more ring, but he's back with the Cards and is actually making an impact with this team. And I've got to say, I do like the fact that he's in the All-Star game, and I also like the fact that he's in the Home Run Derby tonight. So when we end this show here shortly, I'm going to be watching this Home Run Derby here shortly and checking this thing out. So
all roads lead through the polar bear in the Home Run Derby. Pete Alonso is the two-time champ, looking to three-peat, and he is your favorite Met. So tune in because he is a home run hitting king, I tell you.
I got to give love. I got to continue my love with Winnie the Pujols, and I'm going to say that he is my favorite. He probably won't win, but just
one of the sweetest swings of all time.
One of the sweetest swings, and thanks to Stuart Scott, one of the sweetest nicknames in Winnie the Pujols that not many people remember from back in the day. But when Stuart Scott was calling his games for SportsCenter, that was Stuart Scott's nickname for Pujols. And I will say it one more time. Winnie the Pujols. And nobody ever say that nobody really ever cares about that, because I will not even play that slide about this one because of the stature of what Albert Pujols has done for baseball. And with that said, man, we have covered a great show. We've had a great episode 25 here on the In or Out Sports Debate. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to get out of here with one last badass outro. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you again, Joe, for coming in and being a part of this legacy, my legacy on the In or Out Sports Debate. Everyone have a great evening. Take care out there in these streets.